So we're still in define phase, but even in define phase, it's good to have an overview of the process that you're going to look. So you're always improving something that's within the process, and you're always improving a performance metric. That process will impact that performance metric, right? We saw that in kind of previous videos. So it's always good to have a rough understanding of the size of the process when you're starting this thing, right? Define is where you sign the contract, like the marriage contract you're signing, saying, I'm going to do all those things in a 3 month period or 6 month period or a year period. So you're going to do all those things. You need to be sure that you know what you're getting into, right? So uh, that's what define is all about. So having an overview of the process, it's good to be part of define. In measure, we're going to have a detailed process map, and we're going to go over a bunch of fun stuff in our next class, the next videos. It's about process mapping, all the different types and things related to that. But now in define, we're going to have talk a little bit and wanted to have a rough a view of the process that you're going to be looking at. Okay, so that's what we have here. There's a couple of tools. One is Sybok, and the other one is like high-level process map. So I don't know if you guys had some experience with process map or not. So SIPOC is an acronym for suppliers, input, process, outputs, and customers, right? And again, the idea is to have an overview. So here we have all of them, very self-explanatory. But here's an example of a SIPOC, right? So in the middle is always the process steps, and again, very high level. So you see this process like 5, 6 boxes. That's what you want. You don't want 100 boxes or 2. You want to have like 5, 6, just to tell where it is roughly going, understanding what the departments are linking there, and always start by the middle. And when you're presenting a SIPOC, start by the middle, start by the process. Okay. So after you kind of understand, and this process is one related to inventory management here, production planning control. This is a production planning control project, right? So put sales order, extract sales order from SAP, create the weekly release schedule, organize the weekly release in all orders to shop, assemble products and shipping. That was a real Lean Six Sigma capstone consultant project I did with a company that produce uh, golf carts. So we mapped the production planning process to work on imbalance shipments. That was the goal of the project, to reduce the imbalance of shipments. There were massive amount of shipments in the last week of the month and nothing in the beginning, and that kind of creates all kind of craziness throughout the production plant. And who's generating unbalanced shipment? Well, should be from something that happens between the customer puts an order and you actually ship the project. Oops, I'm not seeing. And you actually ship the project, right? And that's what is here, from when sales put an order and when you ship the project, right? And then we identify, have inputs that are going to the process. You have suppliers that are supplying information or other things to the process. You have outputs coming out of the process, and you have customers of that process, right? It doesn't have to be like a line, like, oh, have to be this one doing this and this one doing this. No, you're just putting out there and kind of getting to know a little bit more about the process to understand who you're going to talk to, who is important in there, who to schedule the interviews, because that's the next step, is the mapping process, the actual process map, detailed process mapping. You have to interview and sit on the side of these people and look at these people doing their job. So you want to know who these people are and start that conversation. I think I have another example here. This is a inventory replenishment system. So the other one was a production planning for make to order products, the golf carts, because you can customize 1,000 different things in a golf cart, and I don't understand why there's so many customizations. But apparently, people want to do what they want to do with their golf carts, and it costs quite a bit of money. So companies do that. And here is for a process with a packaging company. And here's a replenish and inventory project. That's actually one that we talked before. So it's still an inventory, but they have like a demand tool, and they calculate minimum, maximum inventory, and they produce for those at levels, and they send the orders to the service centers. Remember, we talked about service centers in the previous video. And then here we have inputs, so pellets and carbon, black carbon, which make the reels, which actually that's this process. Monthly demand, customer orders, calculations, suppliers of raw materials and pallets and outputs, and then all the customers that they have, right? So again, this is a defined phase step that you want to understand. What is the whole big picture, and during our capstone consultant project, for example, discuss with the company to understand. Oh, did we miss something? Someone is not there. Can you explain this and that, and kind of doing more like organically changing that. So one thing that sometimes we do instead of SciPoc or with SciPoc is to do a high-level process map, right? And process map is again a tool that maybe you already seen before or did before in early operations management courses. It's where you understand what things are going on and draw the boxes or rectangles and diamonds and arrows just to have, and again now just to have a roughly view of that, right? These are all the different, some of the symbols that you can find out there. You usually use two or three of them. Perform an action, right? In a process map, you're doing something, right? Buying, sending an email, getting some information, writing down something. You have the beginning and the end of the process, which is this little bit different, just to be a little bit different than the action itself. And we have the diamond, which is here, where's the make a decision. We're going to talk more and more about that, but kind of basically that's it. There's other stuff here that you can also use. And that's a very, very high level process map. Customer receive a call, front desk answer, it's a priority, yes or no. So you have the question. Important thing about diamonds, always do a yes or no answer, okay? Or a question that leads to a yes or no, right? Don't try to make it too much confusing because you want people to understand and to make sure that you're capturing the right information. So, yes or no question is the best. Yes goes down, no goes this way, and then you have another action here, and then you have the end of the process, right? If not going to resolve, here you have another one. So, very kind of simple, just explaining what are the steps and what activities are, and to have like a high level view. We're going to talk a lot more about that.